what this is? It is one day after the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm Ryan Thomas. This is the Super Bowl recap show, and this is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Now, it is bittersweet for a lot of reasons as to whenever I hop on here to do a Super Bowl recap show, I'm brought back to the beginning of the show, which years ago, now 7 years ago, 2016, was the first episode of this show where I hopped on the podcast and I discussed my thoughts on the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos Super Bowl, which did have, yes, a familiar Buffalo Bills face by the name of Von Miller. Now, what's interesting about that is just the amount of years it's just crazy to me, the amount of years that I put into this show. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. It's also crazy to know the amount of guests that I've had on the show over the years that have been truly amazing. Former players, current players, former coaches, current coaches, fighters, you name it, mixed martial artists, boxers. It's been really fun to have this podcast, and each year after the Super Bowl is over with, I really take a step back and say, wow, this is really cool. It just reminds me once again that I have this show, and it's really awesome to have this show and to be able to communicate with all you people out there, the football fanatics out there. So this is one that it's really cool to know that 2016, 7 years ago, was the first time I really did a show like this where I recapped the Super Bowl. That was the first episode of my show. So 7 years later, it's been a real journey, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the folks out there that are tuning into the show, continuously tuning into the show, and just providing me with an outlet to speak my opinions, and providing me with an outlet to just continue to produce and put out content for the football fans at home. So, with that being said, this is the Super Bowl recap show. The Chiefs win their second Super Bowl in 4 years as they defeat the Philadelphia Eagles in a valiant comeback effort by a score of 38-35. And, going into this one, was I as excited for it as previous Super Bowls? I wasn't. These last few years, being a Buffalo Bills fan, it's been very tough for me to get amped up for the Super Bowl these last few years due to the fact that I felt like the Bills belonged in the Super Bowl these last 3 years, to be quite honest with you. 2020, 2021, and 2022, I felt like the Bills could have went to the Super Bowl all 3 years. Didn't happen. They only have one AFC title game to show for it, and it was a losing effort, ultimately. So I'll be talking a lot about the Bills throughout this offseason. This is just the start of the offseason now. We're 1 day removed from the Super Bowl, so the offseason has officially begun. But in this episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, of course, I'll be discussing the Super Bowl itself, just my thoughts on the game, top to bottom, and all of that good stuff. So 38-35, my thoughts overall on this game. The big story is Patrick Mahomes winning his second Super Bowl in 4 years. Now, if Patrick Mahomes wasn't the quarterback that is in the way of the Buffalo Bills, frankly, along with Joe Burrow, but I'd say Mahomes more than any, because Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't even think there is a doubt or debate about that in terms of the accomplishments thus far. Quote-unquote, the next Tom Brady. That's what the NFL, I think, is presuming that he'll be, but I think that's a little bit too much too soon. Tom Brady retires, and they don't even let the casket, down before on his career. It's a weird analogy, but they don't roll the casket down 6 feet under before they say that Pat Mahomes is the next best thing. And to me, that's a little bit disrespectful to Tom Brady. It's very disrespectful to the game, really, when Pat Mahomes, yes, he's done some great things. I love Patrick Mahomes, to be quite honest with you. He's one of my favorite players in the National Football League. He's definitely great. I think he's a player that has sheer greatness within him. His ability is very rare. Never seen a quarterback pull off the things that he can. But with all that being said, there's plenty of time to figure out whether Pat Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. And the media right now, you're going on ESPN, you're on CBS Sports, any of the major media outlets will tell you that Patrick Mahomes is the next best thing since sliced bread, and I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But to put him in the conversation of Tom Brady as like the next big thing is a little bit too much for me too soon. I think I will go as far as to say that. But Patrick Mahomes winning his second Super Bowl in 4 years, there is a very key statistic that I think is one that is worth noting in regards to Patrick Mahomes that I posted a graphic in regards to. Now, this puts Pat Mahomes winning his second Super Bowl in 4 years in rare company that I think does have people worth saying, that's this statistic here for Patrick Mahomes is one that is a worthy discussion as the fourth quarterback to ever win 2 Super Bowls and 2 regular season MVPs. He joins the list of Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, of course, on that list, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana. So he joins Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana as one of only 4 quarterbacks to win 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's a elite company list to be on. That's a short list that you want to be on, not just for what he did to get there, but to be on that list, to share your name with those names, right? Also, Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback since 1999, and the great Kurt Warner, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, to win the National Football League MVP and win the Super Bowl as well as the Super Bowl MVP. Only Kurt Warner did that in the history of the National Football League. So that's pretty awesome. The fact that Patrick Mahomes could find himself in that territory with Hall of Famers. Tom Brady will be in the Hall of Fame, as soon as those 5 years are up. Of course, first ballot. So, Patrick Mahomes, shout out to him, playing on one foot, essentially, willing that team to victory, a second half for the ages. You can't take anything away from him, in regards to that. But to me, the big story in this game and the big story of the Kansas City Chiefs is not Pat Mahomes. It's Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. This is one of the best duos that I've seen in my lifetime of watching football. One of the best duos of my generation and one of the best duos of all time. As far as postseason numbers, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have joined a short list of Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski as one of the most prolific passing and catching touchdown duos, as Mahomes and Kelce have 15 touchdowns between the two of them, and as far as a passing combination, and that's just in the postseason alone. Travis Kelce will surpass Jerry Rice if he continues to keep playing. He's close. He's definitely going to pass Rob Gronkowski's records, maybe not records-wise for Jerry Rice, but postseason numbers, they're really close. He's getting there if he continues to play. More on that later. But what specifically makes the Chiefs the elite of the elite? It's not just the fact that you have Pat Mahomes. It's not just the fact that you have Travis Kelce. It's the fact that you have, in my opinion, if it wasn't for a guy named Bill Belichick within this era, you got at the very least the second best head coach that this era has produced in Andy Reid. Andy Reid should have been in a lot more Super Bowls as the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles than what he was. They lost some NFC title games. They eventually lost a Super Bowl to the New England Patriots against a guy by the name of Tom Brady, of course, and Bill Belichick. And Andy Reid was fired by the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets a second crack at it with the Kansas City Chiefs. And what a hire that was at the time that it took place, and what a beautiful move in unison that it was for Andy Reid to find himself a quarterback that's almost like a hybrid of Donovan McNabb and Brett Favre. And I throw those two names out there because those are two quarterbacks that Andy Reid had a ton of success with in previous stops in his career, whether it was in Philly with McNabb, of course, as well as Mike Vick in Philly. And then prior to that, in Green Bay as the quarterbacks coach OC for Mike Holmgren when he was with the Green Bay Packers as the head coach, and Andy Reid was one of his assistants. So Andy Reid's one of the best to do it. And in terms of what makes him so great, I would say any player that he's able to bring in, he's able to maximize their talent. He's able to use their talent in a wide variety of ways. Whether you're drafted in the first round, whether you're drafted in the second round, I go on, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh, like Isaiah Pacheco, Andy Reid is able to galvanize the players and squeeze the talent that they have out of them. And he's always done that. He's always been that guy that has gotten the most out of his tight end, that has gotten the most out of his running backs, that has gotten the most out of the offensive lineman being physical. He wants a physical offensive line. I love the Andy Reid style offense that requires a pass-catching running back and establish the pass-catching running back role within that offense. I love that. It's an outlet for the quarterback to avoid the quarterback taking damage on runs. It's an outlet when the wide receiver core might not be what it needs to be, or the wide receivers are not getting open. And going into this season, let's talk about this in terms of the wide receivers. Going into the season, Tyreek Hill going from the Chiefs, as they could not re-sign him, to the Miami Dolphins was looked at by a lot of people as, wow, the Chiefs won't be as good without Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill won't be as good without the Chiefs. Worked out pretty well for Tyreek Hill. He had a good season, but it worked out a hell of a lot better for the Kansas City Chiefs. And when a move like that has to be made because the salary cap only allows you to spend X amount of dollars, and Tyreek Hill wanted more money and the Chiefs weren't willing to meet his end of the bargain, they send him packing, and they're able to just send a guy packing and then attack the position by bringing in guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, by bringing in guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Brandon Beane and all the other general managers around the NFL are taking note of that in terms of what Brett Veach and the coach that is the Walrus, Andy Reid, what they were able to do. Moving parts constantly. No team is going to look the same year in, year out. And the Chiefs can consistently lose a player and find a way to replace him, even on their own roster. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was looked at as the next big thing out of LSU in terms of LSU running backs, and he wasn't for the Chiefs. A guy by the name of Isaiah Pacheco took the job from him, and he never looked back, because when Andy Reid gave Isaiah Pacheco the opportunity that he had earned, he put him in the best position to succeed. And I think that's what great coaches do. And that's what makes the Chiefs the elite of the elite. That's where Buffalo's coming up short. That's where Cincinnati's coming up short. That's where Baltimore's coming up short. That's where all these AFC teams, the Chargers, are coming up short in respects to coaching and coaching the talent that they have. Kansas City is getting the most out of their talent. So I want to flip the switch here and go on to the next team that obviously competed in this Super Bowl, and not just talk about the Chiefs during this whole show. I really want to discuss the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is a really tough loss for a wide variety of reasons. To lose a Super Bowl, go that far, and to lose, it's hard, right? It's tough. But to lose one that you were winning at the half by 10 points, you're going to go back and you're going to question, what the hell did we do wrong? Why did this happen? How did this happen? What made us come up short? And to me, the Super Bowl has always been about not how many great plays a team can make compared to the other team, but minimizing the bad ones. Whichever team makes the most bad plays is going to lose the Super Bowl, even if it's one more than the other team. And unfortunately, the Philadelphia Eagles had two bad plays in this game that cost them the game. That was the difference from start to finish. And the first play that I want to discuss is the Jalen Hurts fumble. The situation, the down and distance, it was 3rd and 1. There was a false start, encroachment, that moved the Eagles back to 3rd and 6. The play call on that one was 3rd and 1, a draw. The play call on the next play, 3rd and 6, again, a draw. And within that draw, I was shocked that they called that draw play on 3rd and 6 with Jalen Hurts. I know he's a runner. I know he's a gamer. I know he's a baller. And he's a hell of a quarterback in his own right. I'll talk about him in more detail in a little bit. But to call that play, to me, in that situation, down and distance-wise, was crazy. 3rd and 6 to run a quarterback draw, I just didn't think that made much sense. Then he fumbles. And then it's kicked into the hands of Nick Bolton, and Nick Bolton runs it down the field, rookie linebacker for the Chiefs, for 7 points. Final score of this game ended up being 38-35, and that was the difference. Those 3 points, yeah, they were tied at 35-35. If that play didn't happen, maybe Philly gets a chip shot field goal, maybe Philly scores a touchdown, and the whole script of the game changed dramatically after Jalen Hurts fumbled that football. The second play, which is the most controversial play in this entire Super Bowl, is the James Bradberry holding call. Now, I woke up this morning and I honestly didn't lose any sleep over this Super Bowl. I had no skin in the game. I didn't care if Philly won. I didn't care if the Chiefs won. I just wanted to see a good game. We got that. We got a good game, so I'm not too torn up about that. We got a great game, actually. But you want to see a fair game. You want to see a result of a Super Bowl, of a championship, to be authentic, to not have any gray area or any moment in it that makes you point to the TV and say, what the hell was that? Especially on Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 57. And the Chiefs were driving, no doubt about it. The Chiefs were moving the football. It was 35-35, and Pat Mahomes drops back, fires it to the left side of the field. Juju Smith-Schuster is already beaten the corner and James Bradberry, the defensive back rather, and they throw a flag. It's 3rd down. They throw a flag, giving the Chiefs a 1st down with this holding call. Now, I had to go back. In the moment, I did not think that it was a holding call. The moment meaning the play itself. I had to go back, see it again on the replay. Who was it that Mike Pereira, the head of NFL officiating for many, many years, NFL referees, the Fox Sports officiating expert. They go to him, and Greg Olsen is showing his frustration in the broadcast. How do you make that call at this point in the game? It's the Super Bowl. Let these guys play. Mike Pereira says, I'm going to say if it's a hold, it's a hold. The thing of it is, okay, was there some grabbage of the jersey for a split second? I didn't see the jersey pulled like some say. I didn't see that. I saw a little of a grab, but Juju was already beyond Bradberry. The grab did not stop Juju and his route. Juju got past him. So Juju's past him, and Mahomes, I think, throws it his general direction, hoping that because he might have seen that hold, as we saw him point to Bradberry after that play, that he thought, okay, I'm going to throw it his general direction, and maybe this is going to get called. And it did get called. And to me, the ref's job is to call it when you see it, no matter what time in the game that you see it. But at the same time, I think it's a call that just didn't need to happen. It tainted this Super Bowl that did not need to be. Granted, would the Kansas City Chiefs have won this game with or without that call? I think so. But now to have that call hanging over the head of this game, it's very frustrating for me as a football fan to say that, man, that call really changed the dynamic of this game for the worst. And I hope that, honestly, I hope that falls out of my head at some point. I don't think it will, but I hope it does. Because right now, this game does have a little bit of a shitty taste in my mouth from that moment in this game. And I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not an Eagles fan. I just want to see a fair game called, right? I just want to see a fair game called, no matter what. So, that being said, I got to say, in this game, I'm blown away by one player. It's not Pat Mahomes. It's not Travis Kelce. Those guys didn't do anything this entire season that shocked me in terms of how great they were. They did nothing that, like Pat Mahomes, we've seen him be great. We've seen Travis Kelce be great. The one guy that I think deserves a heap of praise is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a special player. This guy is a rare entity at the quarterback position that I don't think we've quite seen anybody like him. And that's high praise coming from me, right? That's high praise coming from anybody. That's high praise. But why am I saying that? I go back to prior to the season starting, and Jalen Hurts wasn't even a blimp on my radar as far as a player that could potentially win the Most Valuable Player award, let alone lead a team to the heights that he did this year for the Philadelphia Eagles. And clearly, Nick Sirianni has an unprecedented amount of confidence in a quarterback that is only in his second season in the National Football League. I've never seen a coach that young, mind you, trust a quarterback that young and put the game in his hands. Not just any game, but of course the Super Bowl, but to do it every game and to put the offense in Jalen Hurts' hands shows me that Nick Sirianni really believes in this kid. And to get that level of confidence from your coach has got to just be like injecting pure adrenaline into your veins. It's truly astonishing to see this kid play at the level that he did this season. I didn't foresee it. I didn't call it. I didn't expect it. I didn't think he was capable of it, to be quite honest with you. I'm not saying that I thought Jalen Hurts was a bust or anything like that. I didn't know that he'd do this in only 2 years. And what's interesting about this kid is that he has gone through so much adversity in college, in the pros, the offensive coordinator changes that he had at Bama, and to see him play at the level that he did this season, I really don't think it is received enough credit. We're talking about how great Pat Mahomes is. We're talking about how great Travis Kelce is. Let's talk about how great Jalen Hurts was this year. Holy shit, this guy blew past any and all expectations that I had for the Philadelphia Eagles as well as himself. And he played very well. Now, what's very interesting about me saying all that is that Jalen Hurts put the team on his back, and Jalen Hurts was the first guy to say, well, I could have done a few things better. And the one play that bit the Eagles in the ass harder than anything was Jalen Hurts fumbling that football. And it sucks because this kid played a phenomenal game. And for those times in which Jalen Hurts was relied upon to sneak it in, whether it was from 1 yard out or to run this play or run that play to get them the first down, I was blown away by it. I was blown away by his game. I thought he played, honestly, it was like Willie Beeman in Any Given Sunday. I thought he was a badass in this game last night. And what's interesting about it now is in the business of the National Football League, Jalen Hurts is on a very small contract, and that guy is going to break $50 million a year. He's going to go from making like $1 million a year to like $3 million a year and then $50 million. This guy deserves to get paid by the Eagles, in my opinion. And what happens after that contract, we'll see. But in terms of does he deserve it? Did he earn it? You bet your ass he's earned it. I mean, this guy literally put the Eagles on his back when nobody thought he could. No one was pounding the drum. No one was going up to a microphone prior to the season starting saying that Jalen Hurts was going to just have this phenomenal breakout campaign. Nobody said it. And if you're going to say you said it, you're a damn liar. I don't believe you. I'm not buying that because nobody said it. I won't take any credit for, giving him his praise now because I didn't think it was literally even possible that Jalen Hurts could do this. Didn't even cross my mind. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles could be a good team, could win the division, but not necessarily have this breakout quarterback that is one of the top 6, 7, maybe even top 5 best quarterbacks in the National Football League. The Philadelphia Eagles have no reason whatsoever to hang their heads. This was a great season by them. Their defense, I think, is a little old in terms of comparatively to their offense. Their ability to draft has been phenomenal, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And one of my favorite wideouts in the National Football League is wearing Philly green, and that's A.J. Brown. I think they got a great group of players. It's going to be fun for them these next few years with this young quarterback that led them to these unprecedented heights, that did things that nobody thought he could do, and I'll include myself in that. And whether he gets paid this year, next year, hopefully he gets paid soon. I do think that the Eagles will be around for quite some time. The team's going to undergo changes, but Nick Sirianni's a young coach. He's done a lot in a short amount of time. I think the Eagles will be back. Maybe not in the Super Bowl next year, but they're going to be around. They're not going anywhere. So this was a hell of a game. It's unfortunate that that the Chiefs had to win the Super Bowl like that off of that crappy holding call that I just thought was completely unnecessary and unwarranted. But it happened, and it is what it is. Now, the offseason's just getting started. So rest assured, I'll be on the podcast discussing all things NFL football, the Buffalo Bills offseason. For the Bills fans out there that tune into this show every single week, we got some work to do. You watch both of those teams in the Super Bowl last night. I'm looking at the teams thinking, well, how can the Bills get on this level? What do they need to do to get on this level? How can they get better? Well, the Chiefs got Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney. They got name players that not one of them is a superstar outside of Travis Kelce, but the other ones are very good. And the Bills are a good team, but they're not a great team. They need depth across the board, whether it's offensively or defensively. I hope that they find it. I think they most definitely need more depth on their offense than they do on their defense. And you have to build around your greatest asset on your team, which is Josh Allen, the other one being Stephon Diggs. So hopefully the Bills do that. Whether it's offensive line, wide receiver, I'll be talking about this almost ad nauseum throughout the next few months as we inch closer and closer to NFL Draft Day, which takes place opening night, round number 1, Thursday, April 27th. It's not that far off. It's 2 months and 2 weeks. It's not that far off. So enjoy this championship, Kansas City. They earned it, but, man, we got to get one. We got to get one. Our time needs to happen. And I hope that the proverbial Super Bowl window has not closed on the Buffalo Bills. Only time will tell on that question. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. The Kansas City Chiefs winning their second Super Bowl in 4 years. Patrick Mahomes winning his second Super Bowl. Travis Kelce winning his second Super Bowl in 4 years. An all-time great duo, the likes of which the record books are some Hall of Famers. Featuring some Hall of Famers, I should say. So, is Pat Mahomes the next Tom Brady? Let's slow our roll on that. Let's let Tom Brady's, it's the body's not even cold yet before we're saying that Pat Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. Let's cut the crap with that. All right. I love Mahomes and his talent, but let's stop with that narrative. All right. We still got a lot of football left. You got guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, that could put a stop to the Mahomes Express train. We'll see. All righty. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.